Dear brothers and sisters in Christ, good morning. Happy Wednesday. Today, Wednesday, July 1st, Wednesday of the 13th week in Ordinary Time. Continue our reflection on the works of mercy, corporal and spiritual works of mercy. Last week I talked about feeding the hungry, instructing the ignorant. Today, I'm going to talk about giving a drink to the thirsty, counseling the doubtful. As I was preparing this short reflection, thinking on the works of mercy, I was thinking, well, clearly to give a drink to the thirsty and feeding the hungry are connected. Basically, two sides of the same coin, right? Food and drink are the two basic needs we need to satisfy, the things we need the most for our survival. So why is there a need to separate them, to mention them separately? Is really the need to mention to give the drink to the thirsty? Well, as I said, I was reflecting on the works of mercy and the fact that Jesus expressly mentioned giving a drink to the thirsty separate from feeding the hungry. Actually, I think it makes sense to give the two of them separated for different reasons. As well, because we're talking about two different needs, hunger and thirst. But thirst is even more basic and pressing than hunger. We can go for weeks without eating, but we can survive too long without drinking, without water. So first of all, water, access to water, is a basic need. It should be also a basic right, access to clean water. So it's a fundamental need that we have. It's something we need to address, even more important than hunger. And it's also something very easy, so to speak, to respond to, even easier than giving food to the hungry. Jesus himself in the Gospel says, if you give a cup of cold water to someone, because of my disciple, you will not lose your reward. It's very easy to give drink to a thirsty. If someone is thirsty, it's enough to give a person a cup of cold water. Very, very easy, straightforward. So it's a reminder that, first of all, it's not difficult to practice mercy. It's not difficult to respond to the needs. And there are people that basic needs that sometimes go unnoticed, like the need for water. Someone is thirsty. Today it's going to be a very hot day, so of course all of us are going to be thirsty. So we may be taken for granted because we have access to water, an easy access to water, but it's a very important need. Should not be overlooked, and something very easy to, very basic need, but easy to respond to. And so that's first of all, micro level, so to speak, level, personal level, people we meet. Of course, we need to make sure that they access to water, and we need to give drink to a thirsty, water to ones who are thirsty, but also a macro level, which is a lot of people in this world don't have access to clean water. Of course, this is more difficult to address personally because it revolves around policies and governments and relationship among nations. But we need to remember that in the world there are many people who don't have access to clean water, to walk for miles to go to a well and draw water to quench their thirst. And so let us keep this in mind. And also let's keep in mind how we use our water. We have a very easy access to water. Sometimes we leave a faucet running for a long time. Let us remember that, maybe we can use the water differently, more wisely. Be mindful of the people who don't have an easy access to water. And so I find it very wise of Jesus to mention especially the need to give drink to a thirsty. Precisely because it's such a basic need, but sometimes it goes unnoticed, but a need that's very easy to respond to, but also it's something that really people have a necessity of water. The same for counsel of the doubtful. It's clearly the spiritual work of mercy connected with instructing ignorant. Doubtful in matters of faith, someone who doubts for faith. solely connected clearly to someone who is ignorant about faith, doesn't know much about their faith. But someone who's doubtful is even more dire situation. Someone who is really questioning their faith, who's in doubt. Like the first, even more pressing need than hunger. First is more pressing hunger. Doubt, being to have doubts about our faith, is kind of a, a deeper level than being an ignorance, so to speak. So we are called to counsel the doubtful, to help them with their doubts, to counsel and strike off the doubtful with when their faith wavers and falters. We need to help them strengthen their faith with our words, our own testimony of faith. But let us not leave them alone with their doubts. Let us not leave them alone, lost in their doubts. Especially if someone is struggling with their faith, well, let us approach them with charity and with a sensitive way, with very discreetly, and not trying to impose ourselves on others. But let us not leave them alone with their doubts. So to give drink to refers to counsel the doubtful. Again, point first of all to the fact we need to keep our eyes and ears open. Let's look around us. People are in need of water, but also in need of the water of faith, the doubtful. Maybe for us in our society, again, we have, thank God, we don't have a lot of people who are in need of water here in our neighborhoods, but we have a lot of people who struggle with faith. Let us keep our eyes and ears open and trying to help them, to counsel them in their struggles with their faith. Take care. God bless.